My name is Jerry Goode Jr. and I am the owner of JerryGoodeJr Digital Daily Network. And today we're in episode 10 of Impossible Means Nothing to Me. And we're going to talk about some great things today. But today, before anything, I would like you to, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe and hit the like button. Also, I'd like to say thank you for the feedback and just being consistent. And just giving me information and talking. And one of the things about wisdom, once you constantly read, pour into your spirit, that's how you get better. One of the things in my spirit as I constantly read is the ability to master your craft. Money follows mastery. And what does that mean? When you master your craft, you can basically set your price. And so it was a gentleman. One of the things I always say is that when a student is ready, a teacher will appear. So recently, as I constantly read every day, I constantly get better at what I do. I constantly master my craft. I came across a gentleman. He's an older gentleman. And one of the biggest things that stood out is that when he was teaching, I always talk about being in physical shape. So he wears a polo shirt, but he has size and symmetry. Meaning that even though he's older, it automatically exudes youthfulness when you see him. And it means, it's a say to him, though, he's focused, he's dedicated, he's disciplined. He's a black belt in karate. So one of the segments as he was talking, he stated that he had an opportunity to do an actual motivation for a big time company. And when they asked him, okay, what is your price? He calculated, and first he said, it's $110,000 just for my airfare back and forth to where I'm at. Now think about that, $110,000 just for airfare, meaning that his value is so extreme that he's mastered his craft that much, but they were willing to basically let him, they're gonna pay him anything he would like. So he said that didn't even include the actual hotel fees. And also they asked him, okay, what is your 1 hour rate? He charges $250,000 an hour for motivational speaking. And they said they have no problem paying him. So what does that mean? Think about that. I'm always talking about you got to know your value. You have to dominate. You have to build your craft. And I have a series on my JerryGoodeJr network of actually dealing with Masculine Men of God. It's a series called Masculine Men of God. And in a couple of days, I'm going to post where I'm talking about the fact of money follows mastery. And I'm going to explain to you how I became an expert or mastered my craft. I'm going to break that down for you. So look, keep up with the actual JerryGoodeJr Network, Digital Daily Network, my YouTube channel, and it'll be posted either tomorrow or the next day. But it's going to be powerful, so you definitely want to stay tuned to that. Also, too, when you think about your value is based on what you say. That's why it's so important to have integrity. That's why it's so important to have character. So when you have integrity and character, that's how you brand your name. Your brand deals with your passion. Whatever you're passionate about, that's how you brand yourself. And you got to understand is that people look for consistency. When I'm doing this JerryGoodeJr Digital Daily Network, it's about being consistent. It's about, regardless of how busy I am, I'm extremely busy, but I have to make time because the busiest people don't have time for foolishness. And when you got a big schedule like myself, I don't have time to waste time. And so these events, I still work out. I'm personal trained, run a personal training studio. I'm still in charge of a whole lot of different things that's going on. I got multiple networks of businesses going on, but God has ordered my steps. And over the process of knowing and going through the things I've been through, I'm able to handle this with efficiency. And that's one of the things I want to talk about when you master your craft. You make it look so easy, people think they can duplicate it. And a lot of times people don't respect it until they try to do it and say, wow, how in the world is he doing this? I try to do it and I'm overwhelmed because it's not, you didn't put the time in. God didn't order your steps. God created that vision for me and me alone. So what God has for you is for you. Always remember that. And let's get into chapter 10. Now, chapter 10 says, do not accept average when greatness is in your DNA. So, goes back to your value. I'm not accepting average when greatness is in my DNA. I'm a king of a king. God expects me to elevate, to lead by example, to change things in people's lives because of my example. So that's already in your DNA. All you have to do is activate it. I talked about before, I was talking about Black Panther. If you look at the Black Panther movie, how he took something internally that made him stand out. And what we have to do as masculine men of God or a woman of God, then you have to feed your spirit, kill the flesh every day. Like I said, a masculine man of God and a woman of God should not be ran by flesh. And once you're not ran by flesh and you ran by the spirit, then you can create yourself and get into the supernatural power of God, which automatically makes you stand out. You should be operating in a part of your life that says, when people see your life, they're like, wow, how did he do that? When they talk to me about it, but God. God is the one putting me in this position. God is the one who's ordering my steps. And that's how I become better each day. I strive to be the best version of myself, and also I allow God to do what I can't do. Let's read. What would your life look like if money was not an issue? Would you adapt what I call the pre-lottery mindset? This is when you talk against the finer things in life because you don't see yourself ever having it. But as soon as you win the lottery, all the things you spoke against are the very things you spend your money on. I was fortunate enough to meet Reverend Ike as a child. My mother knew his wife, and we took a family trip to New York and had a chance to visit his house. He lived in a mansion on the waterfront, had about 10 maids, at least 10 rooms, high-class luxury vehicles, etc. This experience planted the seed of abundance in my life. My mind was made up at an early age that this was the type of lifestyle I destined to live. I didn't know how this was going to happen, but when I gave my life to God, I understood it wasn't impossible if I had enough faith to believe it's already done. That experience with Reverend Ike was powerful. I was a young kid, and I remember, and that's why I said access. I remember we was going on a family trip. At that time, Hilton hotels were huge, and so we came to register. And I looked at my parents registering to get in the hotel. They didn't know us, so the first thing they said, we don't have any rooms. They made a call to Reverend Knight, all of a sudden they had rooms. It was an immaculate hotel. I remember when we drove up to his driveway. He had a mansion on the waterfront in New York. He was running, so he sat down and talked. He talked to us for a little bit and then went to the house. But I remember when I walked in the house, we ate supper. It was on the big supper tables. He had about 10 maids. It was just huge. So it planted a seed in my spirit that you got to realize this was back in the early 70s, late 70s, 80s when I was young. And for an African-American man to have that, it was amazing. I remember we went to the waterfront, we went into his garage. He had a solid gold Rolls Royce in his garage. And one of the things about him being family is I didn't understand it at an early age, because when you thought of Reverend Knight, you thought of the flashy stuff, the Rolls Royce. But as I got older and I started listening to his teachings, he's talking about investing in yourself. He's talking about you are money. I am money. Whatever I am follows is what you are. That's how God has created you. And so if you look at his teachings, the powerful ministers are adapting what he taught. But because a lot of people so caught up on you can't have this, they put limits on themselves. They allow his Rolls Royce and his lifestyle to diminish him from listening to what he had to say. But if you listen to his teaching, it's powerful. It's talking about becoming the best version of yourself. It's talking about prospering as far as not your soul prospering so you can get the things. There's no limits. So when we talk about no limits, that's what it's all about. You have to focus on being limitless. And the only way you're going to get fear out is you got to have faith. And when you have faith, there's so many things you can do because you're walking in faith. Let's read on. Things that come too fast are dangerous. The things you discover along the way make you able to stand the process of when you get there. You have to learn not to despise the day of small beginnings. Two things that will terminate your destiny is anger and doubt. The Bible says be slow to anger, and the enemy of faith is doubt. What is anger? Anger is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Anger usually comes when you can't control a situation to become frustrated that the road to success is not a straight line. Only those who are willing to fail greatly will ever be able to succeed greatly. Doubt, a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. When you lack faith, doubt has room to grow. Build your faith and you automatically starve your doubt. Let's talk about nothing happens overnight. This is the lie that the enemy wants you to realize. He wants you to think that, success is an overnight quick fix. That's why when my series, Mind of a Genius, and when I interview people talking about, I want them to explain to you how they got there. If you look at the top actors, the top entertainers, the top people who become successful, none of them had an easy journey. If you want a powerful anointing, you got to go through a lot of things, adversity, to get that powerful anointing as a man of God, a masculine man of God. So that's a misconception. What you work for, you respect, and it grows. You got to understand that nothing happens overnight. It sounds good, but those who hang in there, those who go through adversity, on the other side is your blessing. I've been in business over about 25 plus years, but I've been through everything, worked different jobs, but that foundation, it took me years to even see some fruits of my labor. And as I'm constantly growing and I'm seeing the fruits of my labor, I look back at the reason why I can handle where I'm at because of what I went through. That's why it's so important to kill that concept of overnight success. You don't want overnight success because you can't handle it. A lot of times people are asking God for something, but if he give it to you, you can't handle it. So you have to grow into the person he wants you to be as he gives you those blessings. So now that's where it goes back to mastering your craft. When a person masters their craft, they make it look so effortlessly because of the adversity they went through to get them to that level. That just ain't happen overnight. You look at Amazon. Amazon he was in business 20-some years before he even made a profit. Nobody wants to hear that. He was started that when people thought he was crazy. Back then, books online, that was ridiculous. But he had a vision. So as a man of God, masculine man of God, God has given me a vision. And I can't share that with everybody. And if those people can't see my vision as I explain it to you, for God who lead me to explain it to them, then that can't be on my team. That's nothing against them. Sometimes most people have to see fruit before they believe it can grow. So that's why most people, when you get a vision, God has given you a seed that you can grow and adapt. But most people can't see that. So you can't get mad at them. You just got to keep pushing. And as they see the fruits of your labor, they'll get on board. And you don't sit there and say, well, they was this person, they were that person. You're asking God to change people, but you can't ask at the same time how he's going to change them. You got to allow God to do the changes in them, and they have to go through stuff to realize what they had. And a lot of times when they come back, you don't sit there and crucify them and say, man, you did this. No, God has put you in a position to be a teacher. God has put you in a position to elevate people. And when they come back, they will be elevated as well. That's what separates us from the world. We do not judge people on that. When God wants to change people, let them change them in their way, their know-how. And once they change, they'll be the person you ask God to make them to be. Also, what it says, an entrepreneur, you must walk by faith. And the stronger your faith, the more your business will grow. Nobody becomes a successful business owner by accepting the average over greatness. You must have an unbelievable work ethic. You must be a person of high standards. Each day is different, and the majority of people you are around do not understand what it takes to be successful in business. The average person who sees that you have been in business for a while will always underestimate how much hard work and dedication it took behind the scenes. They don't understand that over 627,000 new businesses open up each year. According to Small Business Association estimates, at the same time, about 595,000 businesses close each year. We are living in a time where there is no such thing as job security. There is no pension available for the majority of Americans in the workforce. Social Security might not even exist in the next 20 years. So what is that telling you? Just like the NBA, the reason why they call it the lottery pick, because it is a lottery to win in the NBA. But you have to be fearless to get to that level. You can't look at the odds. You got to look at what God has told you. If he spoke to you, this is going to come to pass, all you have to do is believe and never doubt. You don't know how it's going to come to pass, but he put that in your spirit. So don't worry about the numbers. Focus on what God is showing you to do, and you stay on course. We all know the gentleman who, the football player, who almost lost his life playing football. He has been cleared to play football again. Now think about that. The average person, like, man, you just was blessed by having another second chance at life, and you're gonna go back and do the very thing that you almost lost your life. That's because of fearlessness. We as children of God, we gotta have that type of fearlessness. I'm not gonna waver. I'm not gonna doubt. If God put it in my spirit, that's why you walk by faith and not by sight. You gotta stop looking at what's going on and start going through your spirit and what God is telling you. The devil's always going to show you things to make it seem the opposite of what he said. As soon as you pray and ask God for what you want, you need to stand by that, because as soon as you pray for it, things will come about that seem like the opposite is going to happen. So you got to stand and walk by faith. That's why, as a business owner, I always say you got to get out the boat and walk on water. This is a faith journey. The customers come because of faith. They're not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed customers. You're not guaranteed to constantly grow your business. So it's the ultimate faith walk. You have to walk by faith as God elevates you. Jesus said to him, if you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. Decide what you want. Believe you can have it. Believe you deserve it, and believe it's possible for you. People will believe in your greatness when you do. Your wings already exist. All you have to do is fly. Let me read that again. Your wings already exist. All you have to do is fly. Thank you. This is episode 10. God bless.